something about this journey of risk, how it happened, where you are right now.
Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago when our church, Community Christian Church in Chicagoland, was starting a brand new series called Mountain Moving Prayers. And the first week of that series, we actually handed out plastic spoons to everybody in the audience with little mountains on them, because we're not in Colorado, Alan, so we actually have to draw mountains in Illinois. So we drew our mountains on these spoons, and then we handed them out to each person. And during the service, we were challenged to come up with a mountain-moving prayer.
On that day that we were praying, Troy was leading worship that day, and he was on stage, and I was sitting in the audience and watching him. And for some reason, I had a fresh perspective on Troy's giftedness. And I had a fresh perspective on Troy's humility and his desire to follow God fully in his life. And I had watched some restlessness in his life, and he had talked to me about church planting, and I had been a little bit resistant. And on that day, watching Troy, I saw the giftedness that God had placed on his life. And so I picked my mountain moving prayer that day, and I knew what Troy needed to move forward in his next step. And I knew that he needed confirmation in two very specific ways. And one way is he needed for his friend and mentor and our pastor, Dave Ferguson, to mention to him and bring up the idea of church planting in his future. And the second thing I really felt like God needed to do for me to have confirmation and for Troy to have confirmation was that the exact location that we would plant the church would come out of Dave's mouth.
Well, that was on Sunday. And Monday morning, Dave ordered a plane to join Alan in the executive committee of this 2007 North American Convention. And they gathered together, and they decided that rather than just talking about church planting, they wanted to be about church planting. That they dreamed about what if they could, instead of just all of you Christians and Christ followers gathering together to impact Kansas City for 1 week, what if they could leave behind a church that would impact Kansas City for generations and maybe decades and generations to come. Wouldn't that be really cool? And so Dave came back that Monday, and then Tuesday we have a standing meeting. We have a lunch that we get together, and we sat across the table, and I said, Dave, how'd your meeting go with the Plant Executive Committee? He goes, oh, it was pretty good. We came up with some great ideas. And so he started to share this dream of what you had come up with about planting the church, and literally I thought I was going to jump out of my skin. I sat right there, and I just couldn't wait for him to finish his sentence. I said, Dave, is that supposed to be me? And he paused. And he said, let's pray about it. So we finished our lunch, and on the way back, I couldn't help but call Janet up. I said, Janet, you will not believe it. Dave brought up church planting, and guess what? The location. She said, no way. I said, yeah. And so we made this commitment to pray about it. We began to pray about it, and over the course of the next few weeks and months, it was amazing how God made confirmation through circumstances, through people, through incredible encouragement. And it became so evident to us that we feel that if we don't take this risk, if we don't plant this church in Kansas City, that we're going to be disobedient to God's call in our life.
Put those words to hand. One more time, that last phrase, that would really jab my heart. You told me that before. Say that once again.
That we felt like we would be disobedient to God's call in our life.
Never before in the history of the North American Christian Convention have we ever left a church behind. This year, by the grace of God, we'll be starting a new church in Kansas City. Let's thank Troy and Janet.